When was the last time you had to do work on a creative visual project? Maybe you helped your child design a poster for school, or you had to put together a PowerPoint for work with some pictures. Or you might have posted something on social media about your last vacation. When you did the project, did you ever struggle to find just the right image or have trouble cropping a photo so it's the right size for Instagram or TikTok? Or spend forever tweaking the fonts and colors so that everything looked just right? What if I told you that now you can create exactly what is in your head quickly and easily just by describing it? You don't need to know any complex software or wrestle with tricky design tools. Instead, you can generate 10 different versions of what you're looking for, or more, in just seconds, all with a few simple taps on a computer keyboard. Welcome to generative AI, the technology that's transforming the way we create and envision visual ideas. I'm Carrie O'Connor, and this is Career Blueprint, where we make sense of work's shifting landscape and help you understand how those changes may impact you and your career. Before we start, I want to share with you that I've been looking forward to this episode since I first decided to launch this podcast. When I started reading and studying about AI, what first caught my attention is the claim that AI can do creative work. I wanted to understand, what does that mean? For me and many others, this is a really important distinction between humans and computers. The ability to be creative, to come up with something new, is part of the essence of being human. So hearing that computers were creating original art, books, and music, it made me think, what does it mean to be human in the age of AI? If computers are able to mimic more and more of what we can do, if computers can talk and think and even tell jokes, what really, truly differentiates us from machines? So I decided to start exploring this topic and these questions by examining the profession of graphic design. Now, I chose to start with graphic design over the many other creative jobs out there because graphic design is such an interesting mix of creative and technology. I thought, if AI really can create art and music, then graphic design is one of the professions that's going to feel it first. Now, if you aren't familiar with the profession of graphic design, let me introduce you. Graphic designers create visual content that communicates ideas, messages, or information in a clear and engaging way. Their work is part creative, part strategy, and part visual storytelling. Their output, what they create, spans a wide variety of things, including logos, posters, digital ads, book covers, websites, product packaging, video graphics, and countless other forms of visual design. Graphic design is a profession that has always been shaped by technology. If you've been listening to me, you know I love history, as I think it gives us great clues as to how the future will unfold. But for this episode in particular, I think it's really important for us to understand a bit of the history of the profession so we can understand and even predict how AI is and is not changing things. Graphic designers have always relied on the latest tools and innovations to bring their ideas to life, and AI is just the newest chapter in a long story of technological changes. So, a little history. Graphic design is a very old, respected profession. Although the term graphic designer wasn't coined until 1922, the profession's actually been around since around the 1400s, when Johann Gutenberg invented the printing press. Before Gutenberg, books and documents were super rare because they were all created by hand, so only the rich could afford them. Gutenberg's movable type system changed everything. Suddenly, written information and visual content could be reproduced quickly, making printed materials like pamphlets, broadsheets, and later books widely available to the general public. This technological leap did more than just spread information. It put a spotlight on how words and images were arranged. And this was the foundation of graphic design today. Now, graphic design really started to become a profession in the late 1700s and early 1800s, when the Industrial Revolutions brought new inventions like machine-made paper and faster printing presses and lithography. All of these inventions enabled printed materials to be produced on an unprecedented scale. And these technological advances transformed not only books and newspapers, but they opened the door for businesses to reach potential customers with announcements and promotional messaging, otherwise known as advertising. Businesses suddenly wanted eye-catching posters, billboards, and packaging to stand out in crowded markets. This prompted a need for professionals who knew how to use the technologies of the day to connect their businesses with their audiences through carefully arranged layouts, striking illustrations, and memorable types. These technological changes created new jobs like layout artists, engravers, illustrators, and typographers. As we entered the 1900s, printing technology kept advancing. Photography was becoming common, and it was changing what designers could do with images. Designers were also experimenting with new typefaces that helped brands stand out in crowded cities. Technology continued to leap forward in the 50s, 60s, and 70s with the widespread adoption of television, the introduction of offset lithography, photo typesetting, and improvements in color separation. All of these huge technological changes greatly broadened the abilities of graphic designers and changed the nature of their jobs. But it was in the 1980s that graphic design experienced a seismic shift in the profession, one that was, in many ways, very similar to what we're seeing today. In January 1984, the original Apple Macintosh computer debuted, which marked a huge turning point for graphic design. Until then, most computers operated with complex text commands that kept creative work at a distance. For those of you who are old enough to remember, you probably remember working on the Trash 80 computers we all used in the late 70s and the early 80s. They were terrible. The Macintosh broke through those barriers, offering a revolutionary visual interface and tools that felt intuitive to artists, not just to computer engineers. For the first time, graphic designers could lay out type and images on a computer screen in a way that felt truly creative and accessible. Shortly after the first Mac was released, desktop publishing software like Aldus PageMaker and the Apple LaserWriter printer were introduced. The effect on graphic design as a profession was dramatic. What had been an almost entirely analog craft suddenly became digital. Graphic designers needed different skill sets almost overnight. At the time, there were significant concerns about job losses from these technologies. Many experienced graphic design professionals, particularly those skilled in traditional typesetting, paste up, and illustration, feared that the speed and versatility of the new technology would eliminate their jobs and make their jobs obsolete. Designers found themselves having to learn new skills or risk being left behind. Sounds pretty familiar to today, right? And these new technologies opened up the world of who could work in graphic design. If you had a Mac and you had the right software, you could build a whole visual world from your home. This opened doors for freelancers, remote work, and the rapid growth of small advertising and design agencies. So, when you think about history of graphic design, the profession's already been through technological revolutions where old jobs are lost and new jobs are created. This kind of change, what's happening with AI now, is not new to the profession.